So what do we actually know about Superman 2, aka Man of Tomorrow? Well, it's still the early goings, right? But I think that there's enough for us to get a clear picture of what they're doing with the characters, who the villain is going to be, and what they've teased from multiple fronts. So in this video, we're going to go over everything, including my speculation, and how I think this is more or less the Justice League movie. We just had the announcement of the sequel to Superman, aka Man of Tomorrow, which we know is on schedule as of right now, and it's probably going to stick to it to July of 2027, which, if you're keeping count, less than 2 years. 2027 is looking like a huge year for DC. So with that in mind, let's get into the first details in regards to Man of Tomorrow. Now, I want to stress this. I don't think anybody that's reporting on anything knows anything. How do, as I said in the announcement video when I made the reaction, how do these people suddenly know so much? They're just going off of everything we know. So I'm going to give you guys the definitive first details and what we know, and then we're going to get into some speculation. So first and foremost, we of course so far have a few images. Well, okay, drawn images, but shared by different people. From James Gunn to David Cornsweet to Jim Lee, the famous artist. So looking at these, obviously the one we got right here, it's both Superman and Lex Luthor in his suit, and they're obviously, in some sort of action-ish pose. And then, of course, there's really, I would say, the best one, which is Superman and Lex. And Superman's leaning on Lex. He looks like he's ready for battle. Superman looking a little bit more relaxed. So, again, a pretty cool image. And then there is another one that's worth highlighting, which of course is this image of the two of them fighting one another. So, okay, let's talk about what we know. Obviously, we know that these two are gonna go toe-to-toe in the sequel, definitely. But my guess is that, as we see with these images, which was a coordinated release with James Gunn and, of course, David and Jim Lee, is that this is more or less, I would say, the progression of the film. They fight each other, they realize that there's a bigger threat, and, well, they gotta team up. Now, that's all pretty much what we know. And, again, calling the film Man of Tomorrow, I think, is important. It's implying the next step for Superman, but not just calling it Superman Man of Tomorrow. I think it's an implication that everybody can be a better person, including Lex, aka the Man of Tomorrow. Even he's gonna turn to the good side briefly. Because obviously they're going to have to fight some sort of common foe, right? So who are they fighting? And who are they teaming up with? Well, let's get to that in the second part of this video. So it's quite obvious the direction that the DCU is going in is that the Justice Gang is the proto-Justice League, and that we're getting to that point. If you've been watching Peacemaker, you know the role that they play in that. Obviously, if you watch Superman, you know the role that they play in it. And Peacemaker, the opening, establishes that Superman and Supergirl are working with the Justice Gang. Now, beyond that, obviously the Man of Tomorrow lives in the world of tomorrow, right? So this is one of those things where Superman is not a loner. And Superman does like to work with a team after he gets his priorities straight. So looking at the upcoming DC schedule, which of course has next year Supergirl and Clayface rumored to introduce Batman, but let's just say even if it doesn't, they still have Supergirl clearly building up something. It's going to establish some sort of through line. We of course even have Green Lantern. Multiple Green Lanterns in Lanterns. And if you guys missed that video, I already talked about the fact that the Green Lantern himself, John Stewart, and the actor that plays him, obviously, shared that image, seemingly teasing that he's in the film. So I definitely think we're getting the proto-Justice League, or the Justice League forming in this. They just don't want to call it Justice League. Instead, it's Man of Tomorrow. And I think that this is kind of going to be one of those Thunderbolt scenarios where at the end of it, they reveal that the Justice League is formed, because it's going to be sort of the Avengers thing. Now, again, I want you to just relax. I'm not saying they're copying the Avengers. Listen to what I am saying. They're going to use the same template because it works. There is a bigger threat on the horizon, and or potentially here, and we need to unite. All the heroes need to come together, get working, and go after the big threat. Now, who's the big threat in this? Because Lex and Superman are clearly working together. So, who's the threat? Well, I think it's obvious. It's Brainiac. Okay, so follow along. Here's my theory. Supergirl, as it was formerly known, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, is going to change aspects of that story, naturally. They already added Lobo. We can pretty much tell who he's a stand-in for from the comic. So moving on with that, my guess is that Supergirl is going to find out that there is a much bigger threat that's looming in the distance that's heading for Earth. This was also one of the things that caused the destruction of Krypton, which is why we don't really touch upon it, because they want to keep this as a surprise. My guess is that Supergirl learns about Brainiac, she gets back to Earth. At the end of Supergirl, we're going to find her warning Superman about it and saying, yeah, that whole team thing, I think it's time. Hence why the film after it, Clayface, doesn't really belong. Hey, maybe they'll introduce Batman, maybe they won't. It doesn't matter. But the important thing is, after that comes this film, Man of Tomorrow. And the threat is now here. Brainiac is here. So what do? They toss together a loose team. And they all need to unite because this is a threat that's beyond Superman. It's a threat that's beyond any individual hero or villain. Hence why Lex is going to team up with Clark. Maybe he doesn't want to. He probably doesn't want to. But guess what? When the entire planet is being threatened, even the villain will work with the hero to make sure everybody survives. I think it's pretty evident due to the fact that they even said Brainiac was intended at one point to be the villain of the first Superman when it was still Superman Legacy, but they said they didn't want to do that because they have other plans. The other plan has to be Brainiac being the villain of this film because it's the only thing that makes sense. And if you really think about the bigger picture here in terms of the world building, it's so easy because, as I said, the Green Lantern actor posted it. Superman or somebody's probably showing up in that series. I mean, Millie Alcock was already part of an ongoing, extended run for Game of Thrones, even made a return. These actors are still on the cheaper side, and getting them to sign on for cameos is a lot easier, like the old days of Marvel, including favors and things like that. I think it's pretty evident what direction they're going in and how they're going to pull it off. And outside of what scoopers are saying, because they don't know anything, they're just making stuff up, I just covered what we know, the official first details, and pretty much the speculation that I think perfectly lines up, because why wouldn't it? It's all here, in plain sight. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer it exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.